to First Universalist of New Madison. You see we have our normal crowd this morning. A shout out to all those who can't be here. Hopefully they're able to watch or have some kind of attention to what's going on. This is a Sunday for those who don't like their politics mixed with religion. This is a Sunday not to pay attention. The times are getting pretty perilous, and for this one Sunday we're going to throw it all together. So, which is the picture. The title is The Road to Perdition. The Road to Perdition was a movie, but we're not referring to the movie. We're referring to perdition as the gateway to hell. We're going to start out with 2 Corinthians 12, verse 10. This is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. This applies to the situation some people in the United States are in and in the world are in today. Do you have any announcements? Okay, Prelude. And Lloyd has done a magnificent job of lighting up the music with the message, so it's going to be It Could Happen to You.
It could happen to you.
Lighting is intention and creativity. As we light a chalice, a container of air, earth, and fire. Fire department or ambulance? Ambulance. Fire department, they love their air horns, so I'm betting ambulance. So we say a quick and silent prayer for whoever is on the receiving end, and a thankful prayer for those who volunteer their time to save and help other people. Okay, as we light a chalice, a container of air, earth, and fire, this ritual of our faith reminds our subtle and crashing about beings that we are part of a collective, a community of care and connection, courage and questions, scared and sacred together. Scared and sacred together. Today we gather with intention and creativity, releasing what we must, shaping what we will, in a space made possible by generations of community care and the courage of connection. Our opening hymn is 120, once again appropriate, Turn Back Off the Road to Perdition. 15:51. Turn back, forswear thy foolish ways. Old now is earth, and none may count its days. Yet humankind, whose head is crowned in flame, still will not hear the inner God proclaim, turn back, forswear thy foolish ways. Please forswear thy foolish ways. You can see by this picture, a picture on the one side of what earth could be and a picture on the other side of what is happening to earth. Not just politically, environmentally. Environmental rules are being cut and slashed from one end to the other. And if you remember, the Cuyahoga River did catch fire at one time. That's how bad things were. So it's unimaginable that we're going back to that. All right, affirmation. Toward the Promise by Diana William Edwards. Holy One of many names and beyond naming, we know the fight against tyranny, oppression, fascism, hate, and division is not a new fight, but a struggle that goes back to the very beginning of this nation and before. There are those who would use these institutions to keep poor and marginalized folk disempowered, silent, and struggling. And we know that when we live together into our highest ideals, these same institutions can be tools to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all people, with the grace and strength of divine love to carry us forward in the struggle. We who have been pushed to the margins won't be silent anymore. O Spirit of life and love, fortify us with the wisdom and tenacity of our ancestors to continue to build a new way toward the promise that's written into the founding documents of our nation. A nation where all of us are created as equals and are endowed with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Amen. All right, as usual, we are switching, so the children's story will go right into the message. So, joys and concerns. We have a joy. Something's going on in New Madison. Is it just a kind of a compilation of things, or is this a specific?
What's that?
With the trailer and
homecoming weekend.
Homecoming weekend and garage sales.
So homecoming weekend, garage sales. The Kiwanis had the sausage trailer open. It wasn't open when I came through again.
Thursday night was the parade, and
okay.
Friday night was bonfire and football game, and Saturday night was a dance, and then garage sale was Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I missed all of that. I don't know how, and I'm supposed to be on the little New Madison Facebook page. I usually get a notification of that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, try again next year.
Sausage trailers New Madison didn't post anything on that.
I know they didn't post anything that I got. So.
Just individuals.
Is the sausage trailer still there, or is it done now?
It's done. Yeah.
It's done. So.
Yeah. It's still there right now, but it's going to be going.
But it's not going to be open.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the library posted too, so maybe you need to get on friends with the library.
Actually, I was just in the library and took magazines out and took them back. I just have to pay more attention, I guess.
So the trailer was set up Wednesday evening, so.
I saw that, and I was wondering what the occasion was,
Yeah.
and didn't see anything, and I guess I didn't actually look either. I should have looked.
It's our last event, though, however.
So there still is a community in New Madison, and they still do things together. I'm assuming the bonfire and everybody, I'm sure, enjoyed the football game. So.
The football, if you want to call it a football game, it was 70-7 Tri-Village, so it was not much of a game.
77?
70-7.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, who are they playing?
Mississinawa Valley.
Most of their wins have been by something like 50 or so.
No competition in that league.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know, usually you take mercy on your opponents unless the second team ran it up to 70. Usually they take mercy and put the second team in, at least to give those guys a chance so they can say they played.
Some of the computer point stuff for going on to after season games depends on the margin spread though too.
So once again, sportsmanship has gone out the window.
Yes.
And that's, you know, I was playing football 60 years ago or 50 years ago, whatever it is. And that was our standard thing. I mean, we had teams that we played that were just, and you felt sorry for them. They were little guys, and they didn't have any, it was a new program in their school, and they didn't know what they were doing. And we even got down to the third team sometimes. But the nice thing is, people go out for sports, and if you're not on the first team, if you spend your entire season sitting on the bench watching them play, that's discouraging. And we're talking high school. It's not like a professional thing where you're getting paid to sit on the bench. So the coach made sure to get everybody, even if he didn't put the whole second team in, he would put individuals in back and forth so they could go home and say, I played in the team tonight and we won, by 20 points or 30 points or whatever it was. So once again, the honor of the past is being subsumed again.
They tried something new this year. They had alumni band members to perform with the high school band. And they had 14 alumni people showed up, and I thought about it, but I didn't have enough time to get ready for it.
Oh, that would have been
It was
fantastic.
good sound. They sounded good.
Did you see the thing on, I think it was CBS News? I think it was Louisiana, the marching Tigers or marching something. A 60-year-old guy who played the tuba when he was in high school and college, but never got in the marching band. 60 years old, he re-enlisted in the University of Louisiana, or one of the Louisiana state colleges, as a full-time student, and then applied to the band. And this is a famous band that they put on a show like Ohio State. They don't just go out and play once and come back again. They have a marching thing all around. 60 years old, and he's in the marching band as a regular student, as a regular player in the band. And they went through, and he practiced, and his friends walked with him. He walked up and down the street in front of his house so he could get the endurance and the stamina to carry a tuba and march at a quick step and do all these maneuvers that they do. It's pretty impressive. And you got to give the guy credit on the one hand for his desire to fulfill that, and you got to question the other hand, what is your desire to stand up in front of a lot of people and I guess get on CBS News for the whole country to watch? I guess that's part of it. So
our oldest one was Sharon Anderson, I think, class of 71. She was
Sharon Anderson was
Sharon Anderson,
Yeah.
that's small town. That's a small town. That's the community we're talking about, and that's the community we're trying to encourage. Okay, our sunflowers, Ukraine, no progress there. Every day people are killed by drones, massive drone attacks, no progress on finding peace. It's pretty much a stalemate now. Russia is winning by a little bit, but sadly, and Russia is losing people right and left. They're just throwing people into the field to be shot down, and they don't care, and the people of Russia either don't know or aren't able to do anything about it. They're recruiting from other countries. North Korea has sent troops, and they've been slaughtered, evidently. And a lot of the North Korean troops are finding out they can escape into Ukraine, and they are leaving. So there's just a terrible situation all the way through. Israel is worse, much worse, much, much worse. I'll show you some pictures probably next week. I didn't have time today. Pictures of what Gaza looked like in 23 and 24 before this started, and what it looks like now. The Israelis, I have stated out loud that they want to recolonize Gaza, the entire state of Palestine, and said there is no chance for a two-state solution. There's no chance for the Palestinians to have their own country. It's a terrible situation because more and more countries, France, England, Germany, are recognizing Palestine as a state. It's a symbolic recognition because there's no territory to put them in, but Israel is becoming more and more isolated in the world for acting in a way that is inhuman. I mean,
Israel wants to annihilate the Palestinians.
And they keep saying it's the Hamas that they're after. And the quotes are, is Hamas in every building in Palestine? Every single building is being blown up, every tall building.
That's one way to get rid of all of them.
Exactly. And there were 26 hospitals. Every one of those 26 hospitals has been bombed. And the Israeli answer is always the same thing. Children are starving to death. There is a fleet of volunteer boats leaving from Malta, going to Palestine to try and bring food to Palestine. They're being attacked by drones. And the supposition is that it's run by the Israelis. It's either Friends of Israel or the Israeli government itself. So the country of Spain and Italy have sent warships to defend this flotilla. This flotilla of little sailboats and cabin cruisers bringing supplies has to be defended from the state of Israel by warships from other NATO countries. It's just, the situation is, it's like we are on the road. This is what the road to perdition looks like. This is what it looks like heading down that road. I guess I'm going to light a candle for the soybean farmers, actually all the farmers, but particularly the soybean farmers. The tariffs have irritated China, so they have bought 0% of soybeans in the United States. They used to buy 60% of our soybeans. So I think I told you this last week, the nominal price for soybeans is $10 a bushel, which is way under the $16 a bushel it was a year or two ago. And that's like a break-even point. But out in the Dakotas, where there is no market, they can't even get $2 for a bushel of soybeans because there's no, all they can do is store them. There's no place to put them.
No market for them.
There's no market for them because China has gone to Argentina and Brazil, loaned them piles of money to clear land, to plant soybeans, to set up the railroads and the transportation and the docks to load it. So these markets are not coming back. These markets are stuck down there. The tariffs have basically cut the bottom out from under us. It's just, and it's all done on the whims of a person who doesn't seem, if you listen to that's why I told you this is all political this week. So if you don't like political, just don't watch.
And Trump said we're making billions on the tariffs.
Well, the country, the nation is making billions, and you know what he has to do with those billions? He's going to have to give it to the farmers as subsidies. All these Republican conservative farmers who say that people are sucking off the public tit and there shouldn't be any welfare for poor people, where are they? They're standing there with their hands out. I don't blame them. The government is there to help people that are in the time of crisis. That's the whole reason we had the Great Society. That's the whole reason we had after the Depression, when Roosevelt ended the Depression, that was the reason for all those programs, was to help people in need, and the farmers are in need and they need to be helped. The trouble is, they shot themselves in the foot. I mean, they said that's who we want to elect. They knew what he was going to do, and then after he does it, they're crying for help. I don't blame them, but I wish they would lighten up and smarten up for the next one. All right, for all of our absent friends, I'm not going to name them all. Hopefully they are doing well. If they need anything, let us know. Even if you're, I know I've heard from Cecil a couple times. If you're watching, let us know online. And if you have anything you'd like to hear about, I'm going to try and be lighter next week. We're going to talk about neckties. That just kind of occurred to me. You don't see neckties anymore. I'm about the only one that wears a necktie anymore. You can even go to funerals with people there in t-shirts and jeans. So we'll talk about that next week. Okay, for all those thoughts and prayers, hopes and desires, those problems you have in life that you can't explain, express, maybe that you're not even aware of, if there's anything we can do, let us know. All right, let's see, children's story. I'm gonna...
What do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness. You are jealousy. You are envy. You are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing.
How many of you watched the funeral for Charlie Kirk?
What?
The funeral for Charlie Kirk was in, not Phoenix, but in some town, his hometown in Arizona. They used the stadium that held 60,000 people, and then they also had a supplemental area that held like 20 or 30,000 people. So there was almost 100,000 people who came. This Miller is one of the aides, gave a speech, and we're going to talk about this a little more as we go along. The reason I put this on is Miller is, and the guy on the other side is Goebbels. He was the propaganda minister for Germany in 1932. What you're hearing from Miller is almost word for word what Goebbels was talking about in 1932. You can't, he's talking about the immigrants. You can't do this, you can't do that. We are taking our country back. We are repeating, and that's when I'm talking about the road to perdition. Let me get to. Today I'm speaking not to you here, but to those who think, who say, and who believe. It's just talk. Both sides are bad. Turn off the news. Disengage. Wake up. You cannot disengage, or we are going to be in a world of hurt. The road to perdition refers to a path to utter destruction, ruin, or spiritual damnation. In a religious context, particularly Christian theology, perdition signifies a state of eternal separation from God, a form of eternal punishment or hell. The phrase is also used more generally to describe a course of action that leads to severe failure and disaster in life. What's going to happen to the soybean farmers in Dakotas and actually all over the country is something that's going to happen to all of us as the tariffs bite and the problems rise up. Normalization of the unthinkable. This is where we are. The storm is coming. In the original German, der Sturm bricht los. Even the same phrases are being used. This is out of the Charlie Kirk funeral. He talked about the storm coming. I am reminded of a famous expression, said Miller, this is a quote, "The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength, and the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. Our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion." That is a direct quote from Stephen Miller at the funeral of Charlie Kirk. He is referring to Erica, Charlie Kirk's wife, who said, "The wife's and the woman's duty is to be a servant and a helper to her husband, take care of the family, the home, and the kitchen." A direct quote, paraphrased, that's not exactly what she said. Erica, his wife, at 17, was in a beauty pageant run by Donald Trump. At 17 and a half, she started a religious foundation, a religious group that went to Romania to help the orphans in Romania. They were expelled from Romania because a few of the girls, and I don't have a good count, and I don't know if anybody does, disappeared. The suspicion is they were trafficked to Greece, Germany, England, and maybe even the United States. So that group that she founded was expelled from Romania. There is no hard evidence, and you know how rumors and things go. But there must be some, like when they say when there's smoke, there's fire. So pay attention to that. So she came back, was introduced by Donald Trump to Charlie Kirk. They got married, have 2 kids. Since he has died, she has taken control and is now the CEO of his organization. So this is a woman who said the woman's place is in the kitchen as a helpmate to her husband, and she is running a corporation. She ran everything from her own life at the very beginning, started her own corporations. Even these people who say these things don't believe these things. They don't do these things. All right, and the storm thing, think of what is happening with Comey. If you're paying attention to the news, the FBI director has been indicted for lying to Congress. He is on the enemies list. Trump at one time will say there is no enemies list, and then he'll give you the list of all of his enemies. Congress people that he's against, politicians that he's against, the Letitia James, the prosecutor in New York who indicted him, she's on the list, so there is a list. There are troops, not just National Guard, but actual Marines and soldiers in American cities. There's control of late night comedians. He told which ones he wanted expelled from the comedy, and the one program is shut down next May. The other, Kimmel's program, was denied, and now it's back. And he also said Seth Meyers is on the list, and Jimmy Fallon is on the list. Anybody who's against him, who says anything against him, and he says this out loud on Air Force One when he was being interviewed, 90% of the news is against me, and that's all. They should all be outlawed. Their licenses should be jerked. News anchors all across the nation are reading provided script. One of the groups that control it is Sinclair News. There's a big article about how Sinclair News will provide the script for the news anchors. They own, like 600 stations. I think they own like 288 out of the 600. Every one of those stations, the news anchor at the same time that one night read the same script that Sinclair provided. That is how, and I'll skip ahead a little bit. When they say the news media is all liberal and advanced, there's actually 1,500 stations in the United States, TV stations. Over 600 are controlled by Sinclair, Fox News, or Next Star. So the majority of stations are controlled by conservative networks. The NPR and PBS control, I think they said like 208 or maybe 300 or 400. Much less than what the conservative stations control. And then there are 88 independent stations. I don't know what that means. But those licenses are controlled by the FCC. You heard the FCC director say, you can do it the easy way, which means you just leave and quit producing these shows or quit broadcasting these shows, or you can do it the hard way. And he said what the hard way was: we will investigate you and find reasons to shut your station down. That is control of the media. All right, the most worrisome thing, all of the generals and admirals of the country, all of them from all over the globe, that's over 1,000 generals and admirals, are being called to Quantico, Virginia for a meeting with Secretary Hexteth. That has never been done before. I take that back, it was done once before in 1932 in Germany. All of the generals, admirals, and officers were called to Berlin to swear an oath to Hitler. They have the same oath that we did at the Weimar Republic. You swear an oath of allegiance to the Constitution and to the country, to defend the Constitution and the country. That oath was scrapped, and they swore a personal oath to Hitler. What did Trump say to General Kelly on the Chief of Staff? I wish my generals were more like the German generals. I want them to swear a loyalty oath to me. Is that what this meeting is about in Quantico? And you know what that means? If the generals swear an oath to Trump and not to the nation, and Trump says send the troops to any city and fire on demonstrating citizens, they have to do that.
Yeah.
So when I say we're on the road to perdition, I am not joking. This is a serious subject. They had to sign and swear allegiance to Hitler, not the German Constitution. Sieg Heil. That means victory to us. This happened in Germany in the 30s, and it's happening again right in front of us. So what does history tell us? What is fascism? I'll give you a little history overview here. The term was coined by Mussolini in Italy before World War II in like the early 30s. The fascia is a bundle of sticks with an axe hidden in the center. It was a Roman invention used to unite and coerce. We are united, tied together by patriotism, love of country, and fear of the axe. Fascism is a far-right, authoritarian, ultranationalist political ideology defined by a dictatorial leader, the forcible oppression and suppression of opposition, and the regimentation of society and the economy. So let's look and see if there are any similarities between the classic definition and what we see happening today. Centralized autocracy. Power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader who is viewed as infallible by himself, not necessarily everybody else. Ultranationalism. The ideology promotes an intense exclusionary nationalism, the nation above everything else. This is tied to a mythic past, make America great again, and the notion of a perceived decline, humiliation, or victimhood of the white national community. You hear talk all the time of how other nations are taking advantage of us, how we have to get back at them. That is the whole point of the tariffs. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. Militarism. Fascism glorifies violence, conquest, war, and often leads to external expansion and imperialism. Hitler wanted Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia, Poland. Every time he was appeased, he went on for another one. Do we have that happening now? Remember anything about Canada? Remember anything about Greenland? We deserve Canada, we deserve Greenland in our national interest. We are following down exactly the same path. Remember January 6th? Remember the marches in the Carolinas where the white nationalists were saying, we will not be replaced? There is a theory, which we've talked about before, the Great Replacement Theory. That is what they are saying. The white nationalists are saying all these immigrants are coming across the border, are being here so the population of the United States becomes majority minority. Actually, that is happening not because of immigration, just because of the birth line. Forcible suppression of opposition. Fascist regimes use violence to silence dissent and persecute or eliminate political enemies and minorities. ICE, masked troopers, unmarked cars, mass raids, grabbing people off the street. You don't know if they're kidnappers or if they're with the government. No names, no badges, just camouflage and bulletproof vests and the balaclava masks so you can't see who they are, sunglasses. Numerous things online and shown of abuse of people, throwing them to the ground, knocking them down, and not even people who were protesting them. They were just sitting there holding a sign or singing, and they were being knocked to the ground. The one woman in the last one, her husband was being arrested, and she was pleading with him not to take her husband. He knocked her over and then knocked her on the ground and then stomped on her. He's been suspended, one of the very few who's been suspended for that. Those are the people who are being recruited into ICE, and those are that's today's equivalent of the Gestapo. Emphasis on hierarchy. It promotes a belief in a natural social hierarchy where individual interests are less than the interest of the nation or the race. Everybody is less important than what we need. We need you to sacrifice, and that's what he tells the farmers. You need to sacrifice some short-term input, some short-term profits, because it's going to be better in the long run. The farmers bought that, and they even said that. We still support Trump because we're suffering a little pain now, but we will have better after the tariffs take effect. I don't know if they're going to realize that's not the truth. Labor workers, when they close the factory, when the prices of inputs go up and we cannot produce anymore, well, we're going to get more manufacturing jobs back in the United States. Most economists and most people who look at that realistically say, we're never going to have factories sewing garments like they do in China here. We're never going to assemble iPhones in the United States. We don't have the population that can do that. And if we did, we're never going to have the people that pick the lettuce and the vegetables. We're never going to have the people that build the roofs and pour the concrete. Those are all the immigrants, and they're all being shipped out. Populism and elite collaboration. Fascist movements use populist appeals to gain mass support, working with the traditional elites to abandon democratic liberties. I think I missed that one. Let me look. Can you read that? It says, careful mate, that foreigner wants your cookies, wants your cookie. You get the point?
And he's got a whole plate full.
The foreigner has nothing.
Yeah.
The worker has one cookie, and you can see who that is from Australia, has a pile of cookies. There's a second cartoon where the pile is even bigger and he's saying the same thing. Right now, the tax deductions and all the financial increases are going to the already wealthy people who are getting the tax deductions and paying less. The rest of us are paying the same or paying more. The foreigners, the immigrants, are paying taxes. They come in with a fake ID. They take, when all these companies take their contributions to the retirement, Social Security, and they put it in the government things, these people don't get that money back. They have a fake ID. When they go and say, I want my money back, they'll say, you don't exist. That's a fake ID. So that's the plan. That's what they're happening, and that's what they do intentionally. That's the same thing that happened in Germany. Hitler co-opted IG Farben, and I've talked to you about that before. All the companies in Germany that made steel, that made pharmaceuticals, that made the Zyklon B gas that killed people, those companies are all still in business. They made money during the war, they made money after the war, and they're making money now. The people who are supporting this are the rich people, the billionaires. They supported Trump all the way through. They were up on the podium with him, Bill Gates, all of them. They're making money off of this, and they'll make money no matter what happens all the way through. All right, scapegoating. Fascism identifies specific enemies and scapegoats to create a unifying cause and focus the anger of the populace. Trans people, immigrants, Democrats, enemies of the state. And this is a quote from Donald Trump's, whatever his thing is, not X, but his little thing that he does. This is an actual thing that Donald Trump put up, the party of hate, evil, and Satan. The Democrat Party is dead. They have no leadership, no message, no hope. The only message for America is to hate Trump. This is something that's published in public over and over again, said by, and if you listen to Republican lawmakers, you'll hear the same thing over and over again. They want to identify specific enemies and scapegoats to create a unifying cause. Trans people, immigrants, Democrats, enemies of the state, a lot of these people, and that's a quote right from Hitler. You've heard him talk about the poison blood, the criminal immigrants. All this stuff is out of the playbook that was written in the 1930s. There are core beliefs and behaviors. From fascism, it sees violence as a cleansing and empowering aspect that reshapes society. The first one was January 6th. And they released more information from the investigations. The Trump party, the Trump people actually paid, organized, and paid for hotel rooms, transportation, and support for the people who attacked. It wasn't just a voluntary gathering of Trump supporters. They were recruited, supported, and paid to come for that insurrection. The rejection of liberal democracy. Fascists reject fundamental liberal democratic tenets such as individual rights, pluralism, competitive elections, political dissent. Competitive elections, if you see what's going on even right now in Ohio, the division is 54% Republican, 44% Democrat in the votes. Right now, if the new census comes around the way the Republicans want to do it, it'll be 84% will be Republican legislators. 84%. Not 54, 84. That is a rejection of the basic democratic fundamentalists. Economic regimentation. Fascist regimes often control and regulate the economy, suppressing labor power while protecting corporate interests. You can see that happening right and left. The people they are appointing to the labor board, all the Democrats have been kicked off the labor board, and that still astounds me. It's kind of like the farmers in South Dakota and North Dakota voting for Trump, the auto workers and the Teamsters voting for Trump. What are they thinking? He has been anti-labor from the very beginning. Propaganda and control of the media. Fascist states maintain power by controlling mass media, undermining truth, and promoting myths. The playbook has been playing out right in front of us. Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon, Myers, the pressure on corporations that control Disney, Sinclair, Nexar. And then, at the same time, did you see on Fox News Brian Kilmeade's statement? Are you aware of that? Brian Kilmeade, on that 5 where he has the people talking, they were talking about the homeless population and what a big problem it was. Brian Kilmeade, if you haven't, I'll bring it next week and show you the actual statement, said the homeless should get the needle. The homeless should be euthanized with the needle. And then he said, killed. They tell you the mainstream media is liberal. It's a joke, it's a lie, it's a mistruth, it's a myth that the conservative, totalitarian people are imposing on us. Sinclair has 40% of the stations. Nexstar has 200 stations. Fox has 227 stations. That's out of the 1,500 licensed, 600 are conservative, 350 are public, and 88 are independent. That's the breakdown of TV stations in the United States. Reactionary and revolutionary nature, while advocating for a return to an imaginary past, make America great again, fascism uses revolutionary tactics to overthrow the existing systems. Whenever a court says you can't do it, Trump blows right through it. Whenever the norms of society, the things that every president before this has done, every president before this, including Ronald Reagan, everybody has said the United States is built on immigrants. Immigrants who are make this country strong, who have added, they brought our intelligence, they brought our education, they brought the desire to work and build their communities. All this is being thrown out and denied by the people in power today. Opposition to other ideologies. Fascism has stood in opposition to communism, socialism, liberalism, democracy. You can see that every place. Admiration of strong men. It's based more on feelings than ideas, and you can see that played out every day. The importance of the group. One has duties to every other, to the group and the universal, as opposed to individual rights. The belief that one's group is a victim, a sentiment which justifies any action against the enemies, internal as well as external. You hear that all the time. Every time they interview a MAGA person in a red hat, it's we are the victim, they are picking on us, the liberals are taking over the news media, the liberals are forcing us to study racism in college. All of these things that you hear, it's all right out of the playbook. The dread of the group's decadence, under the corrosive effect of individualism and cosmopolitan liberalism. In other words, when you're educated in college and high school about your civics class, about what the history of America includes, which is slavery, which is discrimination, redlining, abuse of poor people, all of that stuff is considered anti-nationalist, anti-important, and you're trying to block it all out. Libraries have been stripped of their books. They've come through and said, you can't have this book, you can't have that book if it talks about trans, if it talks about human sexuality. All of these things are being controlled. You remember the big book burning in Hitler's time in 1934? They burned all the liberal books. Other than the bonfires, the same liberal books are now being sent to the landfill. They're not burned, they're being shredded and buried. Closer integration of the community within a brotherhood. The unity and purity are forged with common convictions, if possible by exclusionary violence if necessary. When they talk to these people, they say, what do you think about the education, what's the word for the thing they talk about for discrimination, on the black discrimination, the fancy word that nobody knows anything about. They'll ask these people about it and they don't have any understanding of what it is, but they're against it. They don't want anything taught to their kids which goes against, you have to be loyal and proud of the United States. The United States has never made a mistake. Enhanced sense of identity. The grandeur of the group reinforces individual self-esteem. You can see that. Authority of natural leaders, always male throughout society. A national chieftain who is capable of incarnating the group's destiny. I am always right. Nobody can be against me, even though everybody says this is wrong and that's wrong. I can say things on tape and then deny them later, and you have to believe my denial later, even though I'll say them again on tape. The beauty of violence and the will when they are devoted to the group's success. And you've heard him stand up in front of crowds and say, beat that person up, throw that person out, I'll pay your legal fees. It's blatant and it's all over the place. The primary goal is autocracy or a national self-sufficiency, but as an economic system, fascism is socialism with a capitalist veneer. This is kind of an interesting way of doing it. Socialism says the state actually owns the factories and does the production themselves. Fascism says the factories do what we tell them to do, which amounts to the ownership. So Sinclair TV takes Kimmel off the air, not because, and they are conservative, and they probably would have anyway, but because they have a giant merger in the plan. Disney had a giant merger in the plan. They were told by the Trump government, the FCC, if you don't do what we tell you, you won't be approved for this merger. They control the industry, they control the media, they control everything that goes on, not by direct control, but by intimidation. You even heard Ted Cruz, for God's sake, talk about the mafia coming into your bar saying it'd be a shame if something happened to this nice bar. Ted Cruz has seen what is going on and said something about it. That is exactly what is happening. If you don't do what we tell you to do, there's going to be a problem. All right, let's see. Enemies persecuted. We went through all that. Books, libraries, have been purged. No criticism of the leader. Culture, they take control of culture and beauty. The Kennedy Center has been taken over. Drag shows are prescribed, they're eliminated. The shows they're putting on are supposedly patriotic shows that everybody is going to enjoy. It just goes bathrooms. Trans people can't use the bathroom. We've talked about the problems with that. If you are a trans person who is taking the hormones and has a beard and dressed like a man, you have to go to the woman's bathroom. This is going to cause problems up and down the line. So, we're running out of time, so we're going to stop there. Let me end with Acts 9. I'm familiar with Acts 9. Is there hope? Then Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked letters from him to the synagogues of Damascus, so that if he found any who were of the way, that means the Christian persuasion, whether men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a great light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, Who are you, Lord? Who was Saul? He became Paul. He became basically the founder of the Christian faith. Paul became the guy who basically outlined the original Christianity and told people what to do and what not to do. He originally was a pure persecutor of the Christians, the people who believed in Jesus. And let's not make a mistake, Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was a Jew who was preaching to Jews and the people who had no religion and trying to bring them together and bring them into a better life. Christianity wasn't born until Paul started to put this all together and people started writing about Jesus 100 years later, or 30 or 40 years later. That's when Christianity was born. Okay, comments? Let's see, I don't think I missed anything. All right, next week, neckties. Our offering, if you have something to share, please do. And if you are watching online and want to send a share, I'm sure we can figure out that way, or you can just slip an envelope under the door. We don't need much, all we got to do is pay the electric bill. Closing hymn is 205, Amazing Grace. which we could use another helping of. All right, extinguishing the chalice. Blessings shall follow us. One of my favorite people, Rebecca Savage. As we end our time together today in spiritual community, may we depart this sacred space, knowing that blessings shall follow us all the days of our lives, if we live in and return to right relationships, if we extend grace and forgiveness to ourselves and to others, if we behold mercy as a spiritual superpower, if we emanate the greater love that holds us together, may our lives radiate the blessings that we have been given. May kindness and compassion fall gently from us. May there be peace in the world, and may it begin with us. All right, our postlude is "You Are Too Beautiful." Too beautiful. All right, as usual, we are leaving one candle lit for those who are in need and those who are absent. Hopefully Roberta, Cecil, Dolly, I think, is still in Wisconsin, Minnesota, someplace. Anybody else who, if they need some help or some contact, please let us know. And there's coffee and donuts. And our last picture, our obligatory horse, is a picture of Saul on the road to Damascus. He was evidently riding a horse when the Lord struck him down. So we get a picture of the horse at the same time as Saul is suffering his conversion. We'll see you hopefully next week, either online or in person. Have a good week. And don't despair, but don't stop doing anything either. So.